Can you go to
Yeah, I'm gonna text you.
Okay.
Hey, Aaron.
Or is it flip? What is flip? Is it flip?
Yeah.
I think that's just the way it's for us, but I don't think it's like that. When you do it. I can look it up right now. We look it up on YouTube right now. See what it looks like. We can hear it. Yeah. They're still going to do it. Well, they're not going to do it. Yeah, right. What's the name of your work? Oh my. Can we follow him?
So you heard it. He's gonna go also work it. Yeah. So the doctor context can happen and didn't work for this doing 2 sessions, right? Is he doing it in between innovative business practices?
I wouldn't even be here.
So a good thing we are is that actually also
Welcome everyone. My name is Maria Jose. I'm a member of the Cameron School of Business Council, which is a group of student leaders that work with the youth to plan and implement initiatives that enhance the student experience at Cameron School of Business and University. It is my privilege to welcome all of you to the fourth annual Cameron Business Symposium. Please take a moment now to silence your song. At the University of St. Louis, we will come together at special events like this. We take a moment to offer thanks to the privileges we have and to address God's continued blessing on us. Please stand for the prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this symposium. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture bonds with our community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, and continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for greater glory, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Please. Eventually, that bring us together in unity to satisfy and advance our intellectual curiosity would not be possible without the generosity and commitment of many. On behalf of the students at the Cameron School of Business, I want to thank all the students who have generously given their time, all the speakers who have generously given their time and their talent to make this event possible. I also want to thank the team, the staff, students, and faculty of the Cameron School of Business who have organized and hosted this event. I would like to thank the Cameron School of Business alumni and advisory board at the University of St. Thomas Institutional Affairs and alumni relations for the support of today's event. It is my pleasure now to introduce our president. Since arriving at USP in July 2017, Dr. Ludwig has led us on a journey to rediscover ourselves and set us on a path of things change. As students at the university, we eagerly look forward to the enhanced impact that our university will have on this city. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Richard Ludwig, ninth president of the University of St. Thomas, to this call.
but not it yet. That's good, because we have much to celebrate today. And I'm deeply honored to be here and to welcome you to this symposium and to the University of St. Thomas. Maria mentioned about the bold path this community is charting moving forward. And indeed, I think it is a bold statement about each one of you who join us as faculty, as students, staff, friends, alumni, and those who come to hear our noted speaker today. So the boldness that we find ourselves seeking is really a look inside and the sharing of that boldness with others. In fact, that's what the university is called to do, is to help people find within themselves the charisms, the gifts that they have so that they can come to flourish. That's our role to help in that flourishing. And then to freely share it with others. It's by giving away that we learn best how to be what the best form of ourselves can be. And for today's talk, I think I'm very excited for this, because I read the book it's quite some time ago, and I thought it was inspirational, because what it does is does so well what this university does, and that is find that which is within each of us and connect it in a way that we share it. And so that is a significant piece of what today and what our work today is about. Some of you may have seen our new campaign, Be Your Bold Self. And that is exactly what we call each of you to do. And that's why we're here, to be your bold self, to find a path towards the future. And the important piece of that for us as a university is to find a way to make sure that the human element is within innovation, science, technology, and all that is coming before us. We're called by Exportia Ecclesiae to make sure that that is manifested in what we do in ever-renewing Catholic University, and that's what we're doing. So thank you and welcome. I'm looking forward, as I know all of you are today.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Chris Evans, Vice President of Academic University, to the stage to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Andreas Wade.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that. Dr. Pina George wants me to pass along her sincere regrets not being here today. Today I want to introduce to you the Cameron Business Symposium. It's an annual event intended to connect students, alumni, faculty, and friends of the university with leading business experts for daily conversations on trending business topics. For the leader of tomorrow, there will be no more useful gift than a discipline of mind and a comprehensive view of the moral, social, business, and technological questions that have and will continue to confront us. Our goal is to form bold leaders to face these challenges, inspired by the teachings of the Catholic Church and by an anthropology rooted in the Catholic intellectual tradition. Academic institutions like UST and the Cameron School of Business are uniquely poised to form such leaders and to equip them to address the urgent questions where the human elements of the problems are so often neglected. The theme for the symposium this year is innovative and ethical business practices. We have a special focus on prominent business sectors in Houston, such as oil and gas, real estate, banking, finance, and biotech. Today, after the keynote, we will have 30 different breakout sessions organized in 10 tracks. I hope you can join us throughout the day, and this evening we'll wrap up with the annual Rock the Block. This is an opportunity to connect with our community and to have fun together. Now, I'm honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Andreas Widmer, who will be talking to us today on ethics of innovation. Professor Widmer comes to us from the Bush School of Business at the Catholic University of America, where he's the director of the Kioka Center for Principal Entrepreneurship. Of his many experiences, one that is just simply fascinating is his service as a pontifical Swiss guard from 1966 to 88, the last 10 years of which she was protected from the same job. Second, that experience is captured in part in his book, The Pope and the CFO, 2011, a book exploring and applying the leadership lessons that he learned under the scope. In addition to his many publications and presentations on topics of ethics, entrepreneurship, and business leadership, Professor Weidemar is also a seasoned business executive with experience in high-tech, international business strategy, consulting, and economic development. As an entrepreneur, he has worked across the world and has brought more than 100 leading-edge technology products to the market, including the speed recognition software Dragon Systems. He has earned 2 business degrees from Switzerland, a BS in International Business from American College, and an MA in Ministry from St. John's Seminary in Boston. We are honored to have Professor Weidemar join us today to share his insights on the topic, ethics of innovation. Please join me in welcoming Professor Weidemar to the stage.
Hi, everybody. I'm very pleased and humbled to stand here in front of you. I was asked to talk about innovation, ethics of innovation, and something we don't think about very often. And so that's I think the best thing I can do is to just start to reflect. Many business people in here and many aspiring business leaders in here. And so maybe the way that we can explore this is to focus on action. I just want to take a step back on this, say that leadership and innovation is primarily a matter of decision taking, and doing something. And that reminded me of this funny story where I heard this in school back in Switzerland, where this great leader, marched out of town and met this poor philosopher on the side of the road while he was on the way to war. And the philosopher asked the leader, "Hey, what are you doing? Where are you going?" He says, "Well, I'm going to war." And the philosopher says, "Well, why would you do that?" He says, "Well, because I'm going to have to conquer new territory. We need to expand." Why do you have to do that? Well, we need to increase revenues. Get more taxes. Why would you want to do that? Well, we need to create fortifications. We need to have stronger defenses. Why do we need stronger defenses? Well, because there's enemies out there of our city, of our country. We need to defend against them. And then the leader said, and then finally I can go back home and be with my family and do what I like to do and finally be happy. The philosopher thought for a minute and said, "Well, why don't you just go home now and be happy?" I think that's a little bit the story of my career. And I think it's the story of your career that we have to say, we're doing all these things. Why are we doing them? I want to start by giving you some examples of where I went to war. My war is business. I don't like the analogy, but I don't have to have the analogy with business, with this leader. And I want to give you 3 or 4 examples of opportunities I came across. Invitations I had or opportunities that were in my path of getting engaged. And then let's take a step back and talk about how we met. I'm actually in Switzerland. I'm from a small town of 400 people. There's no passion people. I come from the backwater of Switzerland. Most people don't think Switzerland is backwater. But Switzerland is backwater. Anyway, I come here and I came to study in America and I had some friends. I didn't go to MIT, but some friends who went to MIT I met. And they said, "Hey, we have this great technology. We figured out something where there's this thing called the internet. What we can do is we can actually, it's only on supercomputers, on Unix computers, and what we can do is to translate something to make it go on to PCs, and then suddenly everybody can be on this network and will be nice, because this would be the kind of technology where it makes the world equal, and everybody has just one address, and it would be a ubiquitous network, and finally there's a way of freedom of the world without any barriers and any frontiers, and cool, huh? Like, this is great, this fabulous, fabulous idea. What's the downside? Well, the concern at the time was that if you open up these networks, the tragedy of the commons, if you open up the networks and it belongs to everybody, then nobody feels responsible for it. And it becomes absolute chaos. The downside is if you give such freedom, immediately stuff happens to come onto this network that are not so good. So many people can show things on there or say things on there that are seriously questionable. And this wouldn't be a matter of being an online company anymore. Who would control this internet if we would unleash it? And who would be responsible for the undesirable or undesired results? So I had to make a decision, do I get involved in this or not? Later in my career, I ran a consulting firm. We had a consulting firm that focused on emerging markets, business strategy, and uncertain environments. And one day, a rum distillery approached us and said, look, we're going to go and try to revive a poor city in a poor country by starting a rum distillery there. There is this theory, this business theory by C.K. Carlyle, that's called the bottom of the pyramid. Have you ever heard of this? The idea here is that if you would go and he got the idea from I think Procter & Gamble, where you bring products, you can make them smaller and cheaper, and then instead of selling, it started with soap, like the Irish Spring soaps, and so PG started to say, well, what if we sell them in the hotel size rather than the big size, and then people who live in slums can actually afford the soap, and then there's a whole market for this, and this actually works. And you know that that's the beginning of prosperity, that people start to do business like this, and even if it's just this small hotel soap. And it actually became one of the large successes of PG product history. And this company came to me and said, we're going to do this with rum. And it's a bottom of the pyramid approach. We're going to create something for a cheaper price and sell larger, smaller bottles for larger quantity of bottles into this poor market. And then this will create all kinds of benefits. There's lots of jobs once the product goes through, there's a whole supply chain and things like that, and everybody benefits along the way. Would you help us with the business strategy? What I'd like with each one of these is, I'm sort of rhetorically asking you this, as I go through, I'd like you in your mind to take a stance on whether you would do it or not, right? And then we compare notes at the end. So we have the internet first, and we have the bottom of the pyramid growing second. The third opportunity I had, this was one that was mentioned before in my life, is I met a husband and wife team who he's a mathematician and specializes in probability, mathematics, and chaos theory, and she's a physics major. She figured out how to turn tone into bytes, like into ones and zeros, into electronic format, and he figured out how to predict word sequences. And together that create a mix to produce speech recognition. And the speech recognition is really the probability calculation that you hear a certain sound, you do a million calculations on past text and try to predict what the next word is, and the last probability comes from that sound piece, and it pretty much brings the probability of the correct word of this above 99%. It's what we all have with Civic, that's Dragon system. That's, of course, a huge opportunity, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. What we thought about is for all these people who cannot use a computer for physical reasons, for one reason or the other, there are so many other opportunities. say, you too, come and use this computer. We have many famous people who, support us for that. And that is indeed a very good, that's the upside. What's the issue? The issue is that the world will ever be changed once you invent speech recognition. You see, when you talk about a surveillance state, it's very difficult for somebody to listen in on a telephone conversation because it's a one-to-one effort, meaning, I can make it play a little faster, but it's a one-to-one effort. I have to sit there and listen to what you're saying. There was no products or no technology for this before. As soon as we release speech recognition, surveillance becomes a cinch. All you have to do is turn on the machine and 10,000 calls at the same time can be listened to, and you can sift through the past or the current of speech just like this, looking for any word or anything like that. And it changes the world. Would you invest? Would you do this? Would you help produce this technology? A friend of mine approached me one day to say that she became acquainted with a biologist, and that they together developed technology that would allow you to determine if having children with a particular partner might result in the child having a genetic disease. Do you know that 2/3 of all disease is genetic? If we could figure that out beforehand, couldn't you take care of that and make sure that disease isn't passed on? They told me that by stimulating the process of reproduction with 2 DNA sequences from 2 people, the company's software forms a hypothetical child's genome to determine the likelihood of the resulting child developing one of around 600 conditions. The promise here is, of course, clear. You drastically reduce disease. You're not killing anybody. This is a theoretical child. It's simulated, right? Downside of it is I think it sort of focuses a lot of the value just on one aspect of life, to be or not to be, based on one aspect only, that is disease. There's more to life. Would you do this? Would you invest? That was the question. What do they invest in? Would you invest in that? The question here becomes, how do we decide? So, how do I go about, should I have gotten involved in this or not? As we said with this leader story, that what I'm trying to illustrate there, that what's behind all our decisions, whether we know it or not, is a why. Why is this? The first question of our life. I remember my son when he was 4 years old drove me crazy asking me why. But it made me think, why do I? What is it that I'm seeking? I think actually in the business world we're very focused on the what. We're way fixated on profitability, maybe on bottom line, and much more focused on the what than the why. Don't get me wrong, I'm the last one to suggest that a company should not make a profit. I just want to say that it's important to remember that we do not only and not primarily even work for or innovate for money. There's a lot more to our work than that. There's a lot more to why we act in any way, and that's especially true in entrepreneurship. I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs in my life, and I don't really know one who did what they did just simply to make money, because there's a lot easier ways to make money than to start a company or to innovate a product. What they're doing is they act out of desire, the drive to provide a solution, satisfy a demand. They're very often directed. They're seeing a need. And that's what they're acting out of, is seeing the need of others and wanting to satisfy them. Catholic or Christian entrepreneurs do that and more. Our focus is the human person, but not for its own sake, but ultimately to glorify God. That sounds very religious and very theological, so what do I mean by that? What we mean by that is that by creating, by innovating, by producing a product, by creating a company, what I'm called to is to give everybody the opportunity, but what I'm giving is to give everybody the opportunity to flourish towards their ultimate destination, the ultimate why of their life, which is heaven. This is the ultimate why. This is why I'm doing this. Right? To say, I'm doing this so that we can reach out of our ultimate why, our ultimate destiny. Think about it. We know that we're made for heaven because we're created in God's image and likeness. And the key aspect of this image and likeness, is that just like God, we're creators. First thing you know about God in any one of the great traditions is that God is a great creator. And we are creators, or co-creators, if you wish. Because through work, we can actually turn our immaterial thoughts into physical reality. Just like God created the universe, like it says in Genesis. But I can have a thought and turn my thought into physical reality so I can make something out of nothing. Every time this happens, every time you innovate and work like this, whether you're aware of it or not, you imitate God in His creativity. And the result has material and spiritual effects. When we work, we do not simply make more, but we also become more. When you imitate somebody, what happens to you? If you imitate somebody a lot, you become more like them. Work is a key part of our path to holiness. We work a lot in that sense. We are on the path to holiness as God is holy. It's in that sense that Catholic entrepreneurs keep the person at the center of business and innovation. Our why involves a deep understanding of what the human person is made for, and that is the human person is the ultimate focus, concern of, and reason for the economy. There's too often they think people is a chicken and egg question between humans and the economy. That's not true. The economy serves the person. The economy serves humanity. That's why I call these kind of entrepreneurs centerpreneurs. People who clearly put the person at the center of their entrepreneurship. Now, as a centerpreneur, you're motivated just like anyone to seek happiness. Remember what the great leader was? He wants happiness at the end. I want to die happy. That's what we all want to do. The difference is, what is the basis of your happiness? We all have this hungry heart. Many of you, and I speak primarily to you on this, you have this hungry heart. You want to satiate, to quench that hungry heart. The fulfillment of that hunger is what we call happiness. That's what you desire. You desire to be happy. And so the pressing question really is, and this in pursuit of this happiness, you're going to act. And so the question is about all of this, and we don't examine this enough, is what does your heart need? What does my heart want? Whatever you decide or find that your heart needs, what you want your heart to need, is what you end up living for. It's what you strive for. It's what you order your will according. It's what you desire. What you shape your life after. It's, in short, what you worship. Bishop Barron from LA, in one of his talks recently, dissected that word worship into worth-ship. What we worship is what in our eyes has the highest worth. So what is in your eyes, what is your highest value right now as you think about like the decisions I asked you to make about these investments of these words? Did you ever think about what you worship? What you worship, not worship, worship. What has the highest value in your life? Look, there's basically only 5 options. In a sense, it's like 5 altars that we can worship at. Pleasure, power, honor, money, and God. Pleasure, power, honor, money, and God. Which one of these do you worship? We all do it, consciously or unconsciously. Think you don't, you do. Otherwise, you couldn't act. You act out of satisfying something. You act out for a reason. And the top of that reason, the deepest desire, is what you worship. Now, what I found in my life, I can only speak for myself, is that there's only one of these that satisfies, and that is God. And you can believe me, I'm trying the others. I made my first $1 million and some dollars by the time I was 30. I know all the best hotels in the world. I was involved in some of the greatest technology innovations in the internet bubble. I really lived the high life. And what I found is that each time you worship at one of these altars, when you make more money, you make more pleasure, you gain in stature, you have more power, it's transient, it very quickly fades away. And you need your next kick. As soon as you have it, you lose it, and you need your next. And just in a way, this all just keeps sending you back for more. It keeps pushing you back into the race to prove yourself again. That's not happiness. This is a kind of contingent, transient happiness, transient pleasure that forces you to keep going on to get more and to bring more to this altar. That's not happiness, that's slavery. Entrepreneurs worship at the altar of God, the God who is love, and it shows in how the companies work, how it feels to work in them, how invest in them, buy from them, deal with them, or live next to them. Now, the difference in these entrepreneurs isn't what strategies they're using, or which management theory or theory that they're using. What's different is the core motivation of why am I doing what I do. That's the difference. The intention of using these tools that we all learn in business school is the intention of using them. That's what sets us apart. So I don't have a method to make these decisions. I have what I would call a mental model to make these decisions. And I apply that while consciously trying to keep making sure that I worship at the altar of God. And so my mental model principally has a few basic principles in it that I reflect on. And it's my personal CSR, CSR, corporate social responsibility. I use those abbreviations, but there's something else that I think has a more profound effect. Companies have 3 objectives. I believe that a company has to create, to support, and to reward. A company ought to create goods that are truly good and provide services that truly serve. A company ought to support human flourishing by pursuing human excellence. The company often rewards its participants physically, emotionally, and financially through good profit. And once I go through the CSR, I consider my answer for each one of these three obligations in the light of some of the principles, the traditional Christian Catholic principles for the social doctrine. Dignity of the human person, that it's not what you do or have that matters, it's who you are that matters. Human dignity is something that is innate, that we have it just because we are human, and that a human person can never be the means to an end, but are the end in themselves. Common good. Kind of social conditions that allow people to reach their full potential, because we are in this together as humans. We are each other's keeper, in that sense, that we are responsible to help each other reach our full human potential. This, I think, is one of the antidotes to unbridled individualism and unrestrained selfishness that sometimes can destroy society. The common good. By the way, subsidiarity, I love that principle, and it means a lot to me, which means that can be done, which can be done at the lower level of an organization and be decided by people who actually are affected by it. That should be residing there. You shouldn't decide something in higher ranks where you're not even affected by the results of it. You know, you're not going to take the consequences of these actions. So let people decide who actually are affected by the consequences. So I put these three into play with this CSR. I realize that truly good, that part of the question needs to define good. I mean, it doesn't include what good is. And Catholic social teaching actually provides a mental model for me to think about that, to figure what the good really is. So I have to ask myself, do what I create or offer really promotes human dignity? Are these goods truly good? Do they truly serve? Is what I create just? Can I say this ought to be created? Or does it violate or promote the common good? And that's how I started. What are the use and abuse scenarios? It's a critical part of my thinking on this. What are the use and abuse scenarios? That was the create. As far as the support, I want to ask myself, does the work I create lead my employees to a path of flourishing? If man is never meant to be used as a means to an end, then work can never be a means to an end only. Work itself has to be making you grow. It has to in church, work itself has to be sanctified. It matters what the work is in my company. It doesn't just matter what's produced at the end. So does the work I propose lead to flourishing? Do I promote their dignity by what I'm asking them to do? Finally, with the rewards I create go beyond material rewards, meaning are they just one-dimensional? Often we say, well, there's only one reward, it's money. But you all know, if you go to work somewhere, you know that there's more reward than money at a job. And the people who create these kinds of environments ought to be aware of that. And there's many different rewards and environmental aspects that help you work somewhere where the company spends time, effort, and money in rewarding you. And so then, inspired by this, I sort of reflect on my own divine origin, saying or thinking that we have to remember that we get this huge privilege to be made in the image and likeness of God. and that I get to become a creator. I have this privilege to be a creator, and based on that, I reflect on whether I should get involved in this area or in this startup or not. Now remember, this is not the prescription of action. I'm not talking to tell you, here are 3 checkbox items, and then you come out with a yes or a no. This is a mental model process. The key ingredient in all of this church teachings on these social issues is the human conscience. It's not do this or that. It's rather when you want to make a decision, think about X, Y, Z as you make this or that decision or evaluate things. It's overall ideas that then I, through my conscience, apply. So what happens when my reflection rejects an option? How many here would it rejected the first option? I'm going to go with rejected because I'm going to define those. So I'm going to go with negative. How many would have rejected the first internet option? How many would have rejected the second one, the wrong one? Okay. How many would have rejected the speech recognition? Yeah. So the wrong is the biggest rejected is like 20%. How many would have rejected the disease gene pool thing? Okay, that takes the majority. I decided against getting involved in 2 of these projects myself. I didn't get involved in the rum distillery because I felt that ultimately small bottles of undistinguished cheap rum are going to feed alcohol use. Yes, it will create jobs and allow new participation and all the bottom of the pyramid things. But if you think about the larger cost of family and society, that, in my opinion, at least offsets the gains from the jobs. So I made this, in my view, this project, I feel like they created goods that are not truly good. The product that would harm the common good. So I said, I'm not going to be a part of that. Even though, alcohol projects in the consulting industry are very, very good. But we said no. I also did not engage in the disease prediction project because I felt that this technology is too easily abused, especially since it sort of reduces existence questions to a desktop decision. That in a way, who makes with whom, and there's a bit of human superiority on this, creating a desired class and desired humans. And I think this turns human rights into a mechanism and removes also sexuality from its most intrinsic meaning. I actually believe that this approach violates human dignity. So I didn't. But is this stuff profitable, especially those 2? Yeah, and then I said, no, both of these companies went ahead without me. It's not like they're saying, if you don't do it, then okay, you're right, I'm not going to do it. But you see, you make these decisions all the time anyway. You make moral decisions about profit all the time. Wouldn't it be much more profitable at the university if we wouldn't pay all the professors? I mean, wouldn't it be cheaper to have the servers at the cafeteria be children? You have to pay a penny on the dollar compared to what you pay now. Right? You're making these decisions. I make these decisions all the time. It's cheaper for me to pollute the neighborhood rather than filtering my sewer. But I'm doing it. It's cheaper. I sell more if I lie about what my product is than being honest. Or you see, my point is that we're making these ways and these no's to higher profit all the time. But some of us only do what's required by law. We make the law our moral standard. And I think that's a huge application of personal morality. And I think when we do that, is a sign, is one of the primary signs that we worship at one of the other altars. It's the rescinding the potential for me, sort of a get away with what I can approach to morality, using the morality as a limitation to my flourishing, rather than understanding that morality is a fuel to my flourishing, that it enables my flourishing rather than hinders my flourishing. Engaging in this process of thinking gives me great satisfaction. I actually believe, I feel that this kind of process serves my work into prayer. I love this quote by Fulton Sheehan, who said, "Work done for the love of God makes a man happier and gives him inner peace the world cannot take away." I want to make sure you understand this is my personal decision. I don't force this on anyone else. I do this in my company for myself. But I also don't abdicate it to others. It'll happen anyway. Somebody will do it anyway. It's a cop-out. It's an abdication of your responsibility to make a decision, a moral decision. I want to take my role, my privilege as a moral agent seriously. And I would like to convince you to do likewise. I'd like to ask you, when everything is said and done, all we have is these fruits of our actions. Think about it. One thing you really have is the result of your actions, the result of your decisions. And I do believe that these are what determines our ultimate happiness or our ultimate peace. Not merely or even primarily in a material sense, but in an internal way. This is the one thing that's really up to us to make these decisions. The one domain where we truly have free will to go this way or the other. That's what I call entrepreneurship, and I would like you to give it a try as well. So think about it. Think about your last 4 or 5 big decisions that you've made in your business or in your life recently. What did you worship in each one of these decisions? What was the ultimate driver? When everything is said and done, what was the core driver of your decision? Which altar do you find yourself at after you make that decision? If that's not the altar we want to worship on, what specific action and changes can you make to implement that resolution? This is a very patient thing. If you're patient with yourself one day at a time, you start to slowly change that. Where have you allowed others to make moral decisions for you? This is one of the things we tend to as humans a lot, which is abdicate. And how can you reclaim that authority, that privilege? Where can you claim back your moral authority when you have let somebody else? If you're a business person here today, I want to ask you, are the goods you produce truly good? If not, how can you make them so, or how can you make them more so? Are the services you provide true? Do they truly serve you? And how can you make them more so? We humans are made in the image and likeness of God. And we have the privilege to continue to create and put the imprint of our character and on God on our world, offering it back to God in the love of our neighbor. That, my friends, is the great why of work. That's what I call the center in Symposium. Thank you.
Thank you for Dr. Whitman. We would like to encourage you now to take the advantage of this opportunity. to ask Professor Whitler some questions. So, it is my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Convict, who will facilitate the Q&A session. Dr. Convict holds a PhD in philosophy from the University of Minnesota during Houston. He joined the Cameron School of Business in January 2018 and teaches a course in business ethics, where he integrates his background in philosophy with 10 years of experience in the business world, both as a consultant and in industry. So help me welcome you, Dr. Convict.
All right, so we'd like to take questions from the audience here. We already have a number here already, but the way you do that is you bring up your phone and you go to that is actually the internet address, sli.do, not over Simpson DOE, go. And then you enter the Go CSP, and that will bring you to basically effectively a chat room that we have, and you submit questions there, and they'll show up on iPad, and we can take questions that way. So thank you again, Brian. I did have the pleasure of actually having lunch with you today. We just have a wide ranging discussion. So maybe my first question would just be this whole idea of ethics and innovation and central entrepreneurship. I know that you're working at Catholic University of American. Could you tell us a little bit about what sorts of programs or anything particularly innovative you're doing there to integrate these ideas into the program there and see that?
So, thank you, Dr. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation to listening to my story here. All of this that I'm saying is really something that fits, that should have also fit into practical application. So what I've just described is a parallel of our freshman class. So they hear this, what I'm saying, this whole theory, but at the same time, they all start a company. You see, I think those of you who actually have a company, this makes a lot more sense, because this needs to go hand in hand. You know, theory and practice goes hand in hand. And I think that when I teach, I try to create a program in a CUA that we do this theory along with practice, actually starting a company together, and a lot of this will fall into this. But then a lot of this has to do with a solid foundation, and we talked about this before, a solid foundation in classical liberal education. And I told you that some of the best entrepreneurs I know are philosophers. He's a philosopher.
That would not be me.
And because you know, clear thinking and reasoning is very, very important. That not blinding yourself to false arguments is very important in business. People always think that relying to other people, but the number one person you lie to is yourself. And we do this a lot in business. Many businesses fail because of this. So this kind of clarity of thought is one of the critical ingredients. That's why I think liberal classical education is one of the great foundations of the business person.
Thank you. So let's see here. Thomas asks, begin with our practical theme here. What advice would you have for students who are interested actually in going into entrepreneurship? Specifically, should they go directly into starting their own business, or do you think it makes more sense for them to continue on with graduate education?
Yeah, do something first before you go to graduate school. Because look, this is an expensive proposition. The product will give you much more benefit once you have some practical experience and things make more sense. And as far as doing this, I believe that entrepreneurship is innovation is it's part talent, part exercise. So it's like it's muscle memory. And one of the false things that we're thinking is that it's the idea. It's not the idea, guys. It's the ideas that are dying to us. Plenty of good ideas never make it anywhere, and plenty of bad ideas
trick here is to take an idea and go back with it and find the fastest way for the customer that you can do it. It's a lean startup model that I can promote, and to do this over and over and over again and let it fail. Keep bringing this. Business ideas should be driven like rented bicycles. You drive down and up and down the stairs, and you try to break it, and if you can't break it, then win. And so I would do as many, try to do as many of these as possible, because the perfect pitch is muscle memory. That's all this is. And it's famous that when I was in DC, said that an A team can execute a B idea, but a B team can't execute an A idea. So get enough exercise on this. Practice. That's why I started freshman class, first semester of business school to start business.
During your talk, you had mentioned some of the ethical concerns we have with grant, namely the promotion or facilitation.
Audio mining, yeah.
Right. So that leads to a question we have here regarding what do you think the biggest concerns or threats from the internet going forward are, and maybe what the biggest opportunities are?
Yeah.
Both sides. But what should we look for positively, what should be on guard for?
Well, a year ago, I would have argued for net neutrality, but I think that's right. I was led the station. Maybe I say a word about it. Look, I think it's just part of human dignity, part of the common good requires that we're all in this together. We need to have a certain solidarity among humans to let everybody participate and sort of not create a class system of the privileged and more better. That doesn't mean everybody is the same. Now, the last person who goes the route of saying, everybody gets this much, I'm against sort of the more famous forms of redistribution and so on. I think we're all different, but equal. I believe in equality, not in sameness. Therefore, I would say that we all should have equal access to the internet. I think it's a real shame that we are starting to treat the internet as we treat other access things. Depends on who you are and who gets what kind of access. That's a big. You see, it's these little things in politics, which is when this whole election thing happened in DC. They fight about things that are like at the edges of the issues, especially with popular the access. We need to focus on fundamentals like equal access to something like that. That doesn't even come up. The other side, of course, I did a little bit of medical device in this thing. And I do think we have a responsibility to protect human dignity, that there's a thought going around that humans are as animals, and I think that is a very dangerous thought. One of the most popular books today on the shelf, Homo Deus, or Homo sapiens, basically promotes the idea that we're just a lucky ape. If we go down that road, dangerous thing than that. It's the little talks in the beginning that have far-reaching consequences. And if that is so, we're just a lucky ape. Then if that makes it into technology, processes, government, and how we look at things, that's not a good development.
Let's stay with this whole question, sort of big brother a little bit. At the end, asks, what is your opinion on privacy of data stored in cell phones that is available to companies like Microsoft and Google, who are using that information for marketing without exclusive permission?
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle of this. Look, there's no such thing as free lunch. I found it a little embarrassing when you see some of those standards. Because I have no idea that that's free money. Well, I tell you how to make money. I get data. And the deal is you get it for free, and I get to look at any data, and I get to put a profile, I get to put marketing ads on this. Do you think anything is for free? We laws, this is kind of along the lines of writing hot on hot coffee cups, of saying that your data will be used by people who you use it with your credit card. They know what you're buying, and they like to promote that. We need to take common sense into this. The question becomes, are they allowed to sell this? What are they allowed to do this beyond that? But you can't tell me that your credit card isn't supposed to figure out what it is that you're buying. Or even
better, even easier that Facebook isn't allowed to track what you like so that they can put ads up that you're more likely to click through on. That's a revenue. If you don't want that, the whole thing goes away.
Another question here comes, during this period in our society, do you think it's getting harder to make ethical decisions?
No, it's not getting harder. Ethical decisions are very simple decisions, and if you keep them perfect, like if you bring your ethical decisions closer to yourself, I find it. I am not the redeemer of the world. I'm not the president of the world. I am not the person who makes X, Y, Z decisions. I make decisions that actually pertain to me. So if you give me a CEO position, or if I have a great business idea, I make that decision, but I do not advocate it. Morality and ethical decisions are very simple decisions. We do them all the time. It's just that we abdicate them, and then they become really hairy and difficult. And it's always stays the same. This is simple stuff. One of the things that we can do is to grow. We talk about happiness in these different authors. You know that love is an acquired taste. You can nurture what you love. It's one of the things that John Paul always talked about is that your will is motivated by your love. And your love is something you can actually nurture. And the nurturing of the love means you're not born adoring and glorifying God. That is how it goes to your head, your will, and so on. And it matters how you surround yourself. It matters what stories you feed on yourself mentally. What kind of foods are you eating mentally? I often talk to students about this. That you nurture the love you have. Think of your 5 best friends. You're going to become the average of those. Is that good? If you're going football, then I suggest you exchange friends. So it's easy as that.
People get worried if our friends start dropping out.
Tomorrow I'm having 15 on friends.
So another question comes in specifically talking about markets and financial.
Yeah.
The financial markets, the drive there is really, so it's sort of once removed from the actual production of products, it's about financing the products. And it seems to be that the sort of criteria there is for maximization of the profit. Discuss some of the moral issues you might see there, or?
I have a tainted view on this. I'm in faculty at business school, and we have lots of economists and finance professors who I like to fight with. And I say this because I want to say there is another side to my opinion on this. Okay? I think that finance is the one part of our economy that is no longer creative, that no longer reflects the creative part of what it means to work. If all you're doing, I understand the derivative, I understand hedging and things like that for its proper purposes, but if the only focus of what you're doing is to bet on somebody's downside, and that's all you do, the day trade, that kind of stuff, short selling and everything, and I think that loses the creativity that I'm after. And I think with derivatives and stuff, was it Ananda Soto recently said that economy of the funny money is sort of 4 times the size of the actual economy. There's just something is wrong there. I can't quite put my finger on it. But out of the whole system in the business world, finance is the one that, pure finance, for its own sake, is the one where I'm having trouble.
Do you think that's gotten worse with sort of this computerization of trading now? It seems to be less and less.
So 2 things together, and don't think this isn't happening. Maybe they can't prove it or whatever. Look, I've been involved in the internet for a long time, and trades go by nanoseconds. If you push that button, is anybody analyzing this before it gets to become the side and doing something quicker? Or this is all. Just make sure we don't put the fox in charge of the hen house on this.
That's a difficult area.
Well, yeah, I think probably because it's just so removed, it just seems to be inherently removed from that creative aspect.
I keep going back to say that, guys, the economy, work, all that is for us. And the end result of this is not just money. If we all behave, at the end of this, all you need is money. Go ask people who make money. I make money. It doesn't make me happy, okay? But what makes you happy is a fulfilled career with meaningful work and good relationships. Have you ever met somebody who was out of work for a while and was out of work looking for a job? Even if they get unemployment, they look at them, it's like sucking the life, the daylight out of them. This hurts our soul when we don't do it. Have you ever met somebody who retires early, and then believe me, I've had plenty of my friends, and I tried it myself, so retire and say, okay, I'm done. It actually, the effect is the same. You become depressed, life is empty. Let's be smart about this. This is why I said the chicken and egg question. Our economy is not about money, it's about us. Our work is not about money, primarily. It's about human flourishing. You have a potential to flourish into the perfect version of you. If you don't do it, nobody can ever do it. That's hard, and we call that holiness in Christianity. Be perfectly you, that's holiness. And work is a critical aspect of this. So let's not reduce this to money, just money.
So continuing with this idea of the dignity of work, importance of work, and human life, and human flourishing and happiness. We have a question from the floor regarding, can you discuss any of the ethical implications you see of AI, specifically in its displacement of workers, saying that becoming happening and becoming concerned? You see any ethical issues there that are coming out? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We have a friend at one, and he has one of everything, but he wrote a book, the name of it, he wrote a book on the replacement. I think that's a little bit overdone. The fear of saying that jobs are gonna go away, and fundamentally, I actually don't think that we're even close to AI. This guy, Jim Baker, who's the scientist, the mathematician who invented speech recognition first, he basically, when I worked with him, he kept saying, look, we have a Wintel platform. It's how we process it. It's how our computers work. There is no way that anything intelligent will ever program this. The best thing we can do is really sophisticated rules-based systems. It's not intelligent. And I think we have all these people running around talking about AI, and a lot of this appears intelligent, but if you open up the hood, ignore the anything on the surface. So, you know what I mean? This is rules-based stuff. Speech recognition looks very much like AI. It's absolutely not. It's layered probabilities. And so, I don't, on the AI stuff, I'm sort of saying that's the industry that the boy kind of. As far as the replacement of automation is concerned, I do think that as we go on in our economy, more and more, this is a good development, more and more, it's not our physical, it's not reduced to our physical strength or so that distinguishes us in our work. But there's only one resource in the world that has unlimited return on investment, and it's the human mind. And what we are encouraged to do is not be afraid to say, oh, people won't have to, there will be a machine and won't be shoveling and dig the hole anymore. What we should do is to say, we get this awesome opportunity to educate people, and to rise people up, and to let them fulfill their profession, their flourish.
So a lot of your ethics you talk about in terms of business, metaphor of worship and culture. And it's definitely linked to sort of Catholic.
Yeah, it's the client's action.
Yeah.
It's not like.
Or just even we can generalize the equivalence of religious kind of language. Is there a root to this, though, that you could This kind of talk, you think, if you were required to talk to me?
I would, yes, I would replace God with transcendence. And it's very important to me. Look, when I run a company, I don't run a Catholic company. And believe me, my first priority here is not to make somebody Catholic. My first priority is to make them flourish and make the company flourish. And so the argument of me staying in front of people and preach God is not. I do this here because of the environment we're in, and it saves me some explanation, and we can have deeper conversation. But if I'm in a secular environment, which I'm perfectly comfortable in, I'm talking about humanism and transcendence. And I'm saying it doesn't matter, it's not a matter of religion that you say that power doesn't satisfy. Because you know it doesn't satisfy, the more you have, the more you want. Power and all these other altars are a bit like cocaine. The more you have, the more you want. And only one altar ends up giving you satisfaction. It's the one where you are good. Love, right? Where your love for who you are, it's the transcendence where you belong so much that that piece of us that wants to be unconditionally loved is satisfied. That's one. But if you want to call that something else, it's fine. So I'm choosing my words in different ways. But yes, so you learn a lot of the Catholic social doctrine here, and Catholic teaching, Christian teaching here. Don't be too rigid in terms of saying, well, I have to go out there and say like this. No, you internalize it, and then you go out and you apply this. This holds. I don't think there have been many smarter men that apply this in Thomas. And so if we can just adapt what they said to our environment, we can go very far. I know what's deep in France. So it's actually, the poor all are fine. Yeah. You probably saw that.
We have time for just one last question here. And maybe just take to kind of round this up, maybe a personal note here. Just looking back at everything and knowing all that you know now, is there anything you would say you do differently?
No, I don't live on regrets. I want to tell you one quick story. Dragon Systems went out. At Dragon Systems, we sold the company for $600 million. And it turned out, 3 months later, I found out that the people we sold to were wrong. They went to $0. We lost $600 million. Do I regret that? No. Because the fruit of everything what we do is we live a cumulative life. The fruit of insight, the fruit of growth, the fruit of our life, and who I am today is because of that. And it's something where you have to deal with this and work with this with your own hurt, with your own success and failures in life. That this made me who I am today, and I'm actually pretty comfortable in who I am today. And so I'm not a person who lives with regrets. I'm a person who lives with resolve, and I resolve to do what I do in the future. But I don't regret
Professor Whitworth, thank you so much for this inspiring presentation and for answering your questions. Dr. Conley, thank you very much for participating and being an engaged audience. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Lutnick to the stage for closing remarks.
Well, that was certainly an interesting conversation, and I was delighted to be your advice. So thank you very much. I'd like to call you to the podium now and present you with this plaque of appreciation. It's just a small token of your time here at the University of St. Thomas, and as I said, your words will stay with us, and that will stay with you, and you'll be in our hearts for a long time. So thank you very much.
It is our hope that the session this day will continue to inspire you, will give you an opportunity to build stronger connections, and will help us all work together to build a regional economy and contribute to the common good. We pray this talk planted a seed that will grow into fruitful conversations even after this event is over today. The breakout sessions will start in the Lord's Hall at 4 p.m. and the prayer for volunteers stand ready to guide you to the right locations. At the end of the breakout sessions, please join us at our CSB social event, Rock the Block, at 7 p.m. in the academic hall. Thank you all again. Great.